All right. Yeah. I kind of want to do this because recently I got well into the Madeleine McCann case, and a lot of the American experts who have discussed that compare it to this. And it also gets compared to the Jay Slater, and I realise why, because it's nothing adds up about the story behind them. So I'm guessing, because you hear this name a lot, the JonBenét Ramsey. Like, you hear that name, but I don't actually really know what the story is. I think she was a famous little girl before. That's what I mean. I don't really know, but yeah, if you watch, I watched loads of things on the Madeleine McCann, and Madeleine McCann case is just a mess. But yeah, like I say, a lot of American kind of experts that discuss that Madeleine McCann case will say it's like in the JonBenét Ramsey. So it made me think, yeah, I wonder what I'm guessing is because there's got to be some suspicious stuff surrounding it. Because, yeah, I think that's when a case, the public won't let it go, is when the public actually think this is a pack of lies. So, yeah. But it might not be. It might, yeah. But, yeah, let's go.
This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, we discuss the death of JonBenét Ramsey, a case that to this day still captivates the nation. I gotta say, this one really gives me the creeps.
It's not fun.
No, it's not fun. A child died.
I'm not stoked here.
No, I'm not stoked, but everyone seems to want to hear about it, so here we go. On the morning of December 26, 1996.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Everybody wants to hear about it. It made me realise the same with the Jay Slater case, although there's not so much interest because he's a teen boy, like basically a man. But the reason there is a group of the population that are hanging on to them cases or want to know about them cases is because it's people feel everybody's lying about it. And it just makes people then, it just sticks with people. So yeah, that's what I'm guessing anyway. But yeah, let's go.
Boulder, Colorado, Patsy Ramsey claimed to discover a ransom note for her 6-year-old daughter, JonBenét Ramsey, on the back staircase inside the house. This prompted Patsy Ramsey to call the police at 5:52 a.m. to report JonBenét as missing. The people inside the house at the time were John Ramsey, her father, Patsy Ramsey, her mother, and Burke Ramsey, her 9-year-old brother. Bizarrely, the body of JonBenét Ramsey was found less than 8 hours later, and even stranger, the body was found inside the Ramsey residence, in the utility room in the basement. The body was found by JonBenét's father. She was found with duct tape over her mouth and a smooth cord around her neck. It is widely reported that the crime scene was heavily compromised by people arriving at the scene. The police later claimed that they had not searched the house after Patsy.
That's like the Jill Dando case over here, which is she was the Crime Watch presenter that basically someone done a hit on her, like the murder is hit style. But the same thing happened. It's something ridiculous, like 30 ambulances were called to her house after the shooting. And the way someone explained how a crime scene works and how to keep everything passable in court, he said, like, imagine if there's a body in the middle and everywhere's snow. Every set of footprints on that crime scene has to be accounted for. So if there's a set of footprints walking in and it's the people picking the body, you can say, right, this is the footprints of the people walking in, getting the body. But it has to be like, you have to be able to account for every single set of footprints. Otherwise, it can all be called into question in court. So when you flood a crime scene, it basically it can destroy the case, which is weird in the Jill Dando one because so many ambulances got called and they all trampled all over everything. But yeah, let's go.
Because there was no reason to believe from the ransom note that JonBenét was in the house. At the time of her death, JonBenét Ramsey was a well-decorated beauty pageant competitor, having won at least 5 high-profile competitions. Her death was ruled a homicide. Strange, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's peculiar. I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, I've read a lot of these cases. I can't recall one case where the missing person was inside the house.
It's spooky.
It is spooky.
Yeah, that's really
Check
weird.
the children.
The autopsy found that JonBenét was bludgeoned to death, while the county coroner ruled that JonBenét had died of asphyxiation caused by being strangled. A paintbrush from Patsy's hobby kit was used to tighten the rope that strangled JonBenét. There was DNA found on JonBenét's long johns and underwear, both belonging to a single unidentified man, who when compared to the FBI's database of convicted violent offenders in 2004, was not found among 1.5 million samples.
When you say DNA.
Oh, it's not like that.
Okay.
No, not like that.
I just,
Yeah.
I wanted to be, know how gross we were getting here.
There were 2 sets of unidentified footprints found at the scene. There was a rope found close by JonBenét's bedroom that did not belong to the Ramseys. However, as of 2006, the rope had never been tested. If somebody broke into the house, they did so cleanly, as there was no footsteps in the snow outside the house, as well as no sign of forced entry.
This is Colorado, right?
It's snowing. I mean, conceivably, maybe.
Okay. Like I say, I went well deep in the Madeleine McCann case, and that is crazy. I've gone well deep into the Jay Slater case, and this is just ridiculous. This doesn't even, like, them two are crazy and have blown my mind. This is like a game of Cluedo. It don't.
The snow got covered up,
No.
but there's also.
I know snow. You don't know
you-
snow
are
because
you-
you're a Southern California
Oh, you're gonna
Lily,
pull this
but
card now from your Chicago, from the Windy City, and I don't know anything about weather because
We know
us
snow out
Californians
there.
have
We
it
know
so
snow.
nice. It's not that hard. It falls from the sky and it hits the ground.
There's some nuance to it. There's some intricacy, and if
Such as what?
oh, you don't even know.
Let's move on to the contents of the ransom note. The note requested $118,000 in exchange for JonBenét Ramsey.
Strange.
Why is that strange?
Weird number.
Oh, I guess it is very specific. Actually, we're going to touch on why that may be so specific.
This is my
later.
detective brain. This is what I'm telling you about.
I think it is.
Did
and I
that
think-
number
I think
stick
you're-
out to you the first time?
It did, but I think you're tooting your own horn a little bit too much.
Shame the brain.
Okay. With the exchange to take place the next day between 8 and 10 a.m., the highly scrutinized note starts with, quote, Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business, but not the country that it serves, end quote. A strange declaration that would ultimately lead nowhere.
If you're sending someone a ransom note, I would imagine you would want to put in as little detail as possible.
That's true.
I'm not going to say, Dear Mr. Ramsey, it's me, a tall fellow.
It almost seems cartoony. Almost as if it was fake. Let's move on. Here's another excerpt. Quote, the 2 gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police or FBI, will result in your daughter being beheaded.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
What?
it's a fucking ransom note. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions, and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back.
Fucking mathematician over here.
I know, this guy is a smart.
What? I'm lost. Because I thought they found her body in the house 8 hours later. What are they ransoming? Your daughter's gonna die if her body was found. I'm lost.
I've crunched the numbers.
I've run the permutations through my little computer, and all of them say, you're fucked.
My murder laptop.
Murder laptop. The letter was signed SBTC, initials that still remain a mystery. One curious fact is that the sum of $118,000 was close to the amount that John Ramsey received for a bonus that year. That's when you asked the question about the specificity of the number.
Yeah.
There it is.
I've connected the two dots.
You didn't connect shit, but
I've connected them.
However, the most chilling fact about the ransom note was that it was determined that the note was written using pen and paper from inside the house. While this detail is absolutely horrifying, it also brought a lot of suspicion into the integrity of the note. This suggests that the killer somehow entered the house, wrote the note inside, and for some reason then killed JonBenét Ramsey after writing a ransom note. All of this occurring while the other 3 Ramsey family members were inside the house.
I feel like I've been in some big houses where you could be at one end, someone in the other end could be straight up murdering a human being and you wouldn't even know.
Would you take that kind of a risk as a killer to do all these weird little things inside the house?
Yes.
Analysis of the notepad used suggested that a practice letter was written, and part of a practice note was found. There were spelling errors in the letter on words thought to be easy, like possession, yet some wonder how words such as attaché, with an accent on the E, were spelled correctly. Some believe this adds up to the letter being a hoax, and when combined with the lack of evidence of an intruder, this case becomes even more puzzling.
Maybe the practice letter was just sort of, you know, when you write like a banner and you write with a big marker and then
when you're making the big
you've got
blue-
like 3 letters to squeeze in at the end and it looks all shitty.
Are you under the impression he wrote this in bubbly letters?
No, I'm just saying maybe he was spacing it out.
It's a notepad. He doesn't need to
I
space
don't
it
know.
out.
Okay, then I don't understand the practice
No,
letter.
neither do I. That's the point.
Jesus, I don't understand the beheading. What is that all about?
With that, let's get into the suspects, starting with the Ramseys themselves. In the early goings of the case, the Ramsey family was under heavy scrutiny.
How can it be anybody else but someone that was in that house? The letter was found on the stairs. She was killed in the house. She was found in the house. It doesn't look like throughout this whole... And I don't understand what they're writing a ransom for. If she's dead and the body's found 8 hours later, maybe it's within that 8 hours.
Given the suspicions of the ransom note's authenticity and the little evidence to suggest an intruder, the actual person responsible for the murder varies depending on who is theorizing. A recent television program claims that police theorized that Patsy accidentally killed JonBenét. That same program also posits.
I was thinking that because I think that with Madeleine McCann. I don't think that that family meant to kill her. I do think their actions led to it, but I do think it was an accident and then got covered up. And because they was a group of doctors, like a group of high esteemed British doctors, irresponsibly leaving their children in a foreign country in a hotel room while they go out on the piss and party, doesn't look good. So I think that it was an accident, but so maybe I don't know whether this family is kind of connected somehow, but maybe they're of a high enough esteem where the British or the American establishment might not want it to come out that she accidentally killed her daughter. But that's what it made me think, is like maybe she accidentally did it and then bludgeoned her. But I was thinking, would you be able to tell? Because if someone's dead and you shoot them, they don't bleed because the heart's not pumping, so the blood, nothing comes out. So would they be able to tell? They must be able to tell if that's what I was thinking. Maybe she accidentally killed her, then bludgeoned her with something to make it look like a vicious murder when it was an accident. Because I don't see how this can be anyone else. Although the suspicious DNA is weird, that's a little nugget of, that's weird.
That Burke Ramsey, JonBenét's 9-year-old little brother, accidentally killed JonBenét as well. However, For Patsy or Burke to be the culprit, not only would the note have to be staged, but so would the strangulation. And that doesn't add up when you consider the evidence suggests that JonBenét was still alive as she was being strangled. Furthermore, handwriting analysis also ruled out John Ramsey and ruled Patsy Ramsey as inconclusive. Experts believe the signs are more consistent with child abduction and murder done by an intruder. Fascinatingly, in 2013, it came to light that in 1999, a grand jury had voted to indict JonBenét's parents on charges of child abuse resulting in death. However, the Boulder District Attorney at the time, Alex Hunter, did not sign the indictment, believing that there was not enough evidence to support the charges. Casting further doubt on this theory is the fact that the DNA evidence procured from the crime scene officially exonerated the entire Ramsey family.
You could see why people would think it may be one of them in the family, though, because if it was indeed an accident, you would have to cover it up, you would have to write a note.
Which brings us to our first non-Ramsey suspect, a local man named Bill McReynolds who had visited the Ramsey house 2 days before JonBenét's murder. He sometimes dressed up as Santa Claus. His own daughter had been kidnapped 22 years before the JonBenét murder. His wife had written a play about a child getting molested and then murdered in a basement. According to the Denver Post, this man felt close to JonBenét. Here's a quote from him. Quote, "Her murder was harder on me than my operation. She made a profound change in me." End quote. McReynolds even brought a vial of glitter gifted to him by JonBenét into heart surgery. The gift had been meaningful to him since no child had ever given him a gift while playing Santa. He even asked his wife to mix the glitter with his ashes if he were to die.
I don't like this man.
All right. See, this is the same thing with the Madeleine McCann and the Jay Slater case. It seems completely suspicious. Plausible, but suspicious. But then you get this is a crazy little add-in. Because it could be him now. What that just said was creepy as hell.
It could be just the acts of a kind old man.
It is up until him wanting her glitter mixed with his ashes.
Fair. I tell you what, did he murder her? Maybe not. Is the glitter with your ashes a weird thing to ask for?
It's the
Absolutely.
weirdest,
That's
yeah.
very weird. I don't like that at all.
No.
I wish I didn't know it, but now it's in my brain. And now it's in all your brains, whoever's watching this.
Deal with it.
However, beyond these sensationalized details, which can also be interpreted as the acts of a friendly old man, there is nothing to suggest McReynolds as the murderer. The next suspect is Gary Oliva, a man who lived a few blocks away from the Ramsey home at the time of the murder. In 2016, Oliva was arrested on charges of child pornography. In December of 2000, Oliva was arrested on unrelated drug charges and was found to be carrying a photo of JonBenét in his backpack. He explained why he had the photo to the Denver Post. Quote, "JonBenét's murder touched me very deeply. I felt she was an exceptional girl whose death was an exceptional loss. I felt the need to build a monument, a shrine, to remember this little girl."
Oh, I don't like.
Yeah, I don't like this. This is creepy. It seems like fully grown men are having too much of a life experience emotion directed with this little girl. It seems, but yeah, now it could be him too.
Quote.
Ryan, I know everybody wanted to hear about this case, but I don't want to anymore. I'm done.
Touching on the suspect, this guy's very suspicious.
Yeah, Ryan, he is.
And it's gonna get worse.
Why?
A high school friend of Oliva named Michael Vale revealed in an interview with In Touch magazine that Oliva called him a day after the murder occurred and said, quote, "I heard a little girl, I heard a little girl," end quote. According to Vale, Oliva also revealed the location of where he had hurt this girl, Boulder, Colorado, after which Oliva hung up the phone. This is interesting if true because records show that no other girl other than JonBenét was harmed in that area that night. Vale also revealed that the strangulation method used on JonBenét was also allegedly used by Oliva when Oliva attempted to strangle his own mother with a telephone cord.
Why would someone make that up?
I don't know. You got to imagine these people, since the story's so sensationalized, they would get paid to give.
To be fair, why is someone like, I mean, I know it's hard, but why is someone like this even allowed? Authorities should find the furthest place where there is no children, like somewhere where old people go and retire, and put them there. As far away from a child, like, why is this like a neighbour or something? Or
Interview, right? An exclusive, because it is an exclusive with In Touch, which we all know is the major true crime publication of the United States.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Gary Oliva was also not a match to the DNA evidence. The final suspect is John Mark Carr.
A divorce. You don't even like his name? Do you not like him
No,
with three names?
I remember this fucking guy.
Okay.
A divorced father and elementary school teacher, Carr did not become a suspect until nearly 10 years after the murder, when he confessed to the murder via email to a journalism professor named Michael Tracy. Tracy had emailed back and forth with Carr for 4 years in order to gain his trust.
That's good journalism.
It's good journalism, but I mean, you got to imagine it takes a toll on you emotionally.
Yeah, to have a weird pen pal like that.
A weird pen pal, yeah, that's a good way to say it.
I just don't know what you say to someone for 4 years. I'll be
Hey,
like,
do you
"Yeah."
know anything about that kid that got killed
Yeah,
in Colorado?
no one's ever asked me if I murdered anyone.
Maybe they're not asking the right questions.
Tracy
And also, if you spent 4 years talking to a weirdo and it led to nothing, maybe you might want to try and make it look like it did, so it makes that 4 years of you having to talk to some freak worth it. Maybe you might have a bit of him, I don't know.
said this of the experience, quote, "You are reading and hearing a truly dark side of the human psyche, and having to pretend it's okay that I wasn't going to sit in judgment, because otherwise the communication would have stopped. This is the worst experience of my life by far. It was horrible." End quote.
Was he also pretending to be a weirdo?
He had to have been, right?
Was he like, yeah, man, I'm a journalist, but I'm a sicko, trust me. Trust me, I'm a sicko.
That's all he said over and over again. That's
For
all.
4 years, trust me, I'm a sicko. Write me back.
Judging from the character of this guy that you'll learn later, John Mark Carr, I don't think it's going to take a lot to outfox him, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember this dum-dum.
In his emails, Carr used similar wording as the ransom note. At one point, he used Patsy's mother's nickname in an email, Nettie, and it was bizarre that he would even know that. Carr would eventually write that he was in love with JonBenét, and would later confess to hitting JonBenét in the head with a flashlight. Here's some of the email. Quote, "She of course was asleep from the time that I took her from her bed and took her into the basement. Her first reaction was, 'Where am I?' And I said, 'You're in your basement.' She wasn't in that little room to be disgraced, and I would never disgrace her or dishonor her. She was there temporarily, and what really hurts me is that she stayed there, and that's where her father found her, and it's just a horrible thing." End quote.
I'm just getting kind of bummed out and sad, but we'll keep going here.
On August 16th, 2008, with the help of British intelligence, the Royal Thai authorities, and the US Department of Homeland Security, they were able to track down Carr in Bangkok, Thailand, where he had traveled to from the US to escape child pornography charges in California. A few months after this confession, Boulder County District Attorney Mary Lacey issued a formal apology to John Ramsey for the suspicion his family had lived with, and said that no one in the Ramsey family is considered a suspect. Carr's DNA did not match the DNA found on the scene, and he was not charged with the murder. However, the US Department of Homeland Security continued to investigate John Mark Carr. He had always maintained that he had not acted alone. If you'll recall, there were 2 sets of unidentified footprints found at the scene. It's worth mentioning that former Boulder Police Chief Mark Beckner, the lead investigator on the JonBenét Ramsey case for a time, said in a Reddit AMA in regards to John Mark Carr that, quote, "His confession, once they shared it with us, did not match the evidence at the scene. We knew in about 18 hours he was not the guy. We were able to confirm he was not even in Colorado at the time by just doing some routine checking and then obtained photos of him in Georgia at the time." End quote.
I think in all these cases, you just want justice to be served so badly that you just kind of want to just plug in the holes.
On this one though, I don't want him, if he's just lying, I don't want him to get what he wants.
Yeah, it's true. If you are the kind of person that wants to take credit for a child murder,
And there are
I don't know
people
if we want to
like
give him
that.
that satisfaction if you didn't do it.
No, you don't.
There are literally people like that. That's what part of serial killing mind is that they want to eventually be cool so they can be famous for it. But yeah, people do lie about things. Like,
Prison, you weirdo.
Now that we've looked at the suspects, I'd like to point out that in a recent CBS program, DNA expert Dr. Henry Lee, best known from the O.J. Simpson case, studied the DNA from the JonBenét scene. Dr. Lee found that JonBenét's underwear may have held transfer DNA from the manufacture process, and proved this by testing an unopened bag of underwear, which also had foreign DNA on them. The CBS program concluded that the DNA from the crime scene was therefore fallacious, meaning that conceivably, any of the listed suspects could possibly be the killer.
Oh shit.
So basically, it's just making the case even more open-ended than we already thought it was.
Yeah, because DNA was ruling out a bunch of other people.
Yeah, so it could conceivably be anyone.
Well, what the fuck are we doing here,
Well,
man?
that's why it's
This
unsolved.
is why?
There's a reason why it's unsolved.
In the end, nobody
Yeah.
truly knows what happened to JonBenét Ramsey. The odd details of the case will likely forever cloud the truth, and the case tragically remains unsolved.
I can't say who I think did it. Our legal team has informed me that I can't chime in on that. So, but I will now blink to you in Morse code who I think did it.
You don't know Morse code. He doesn't know Morse code.
Well,
He said the
everyone
mum.
Morse code knows who I thought did it.
he said the mum.
So, it's unsolved. Okay.
All right.
Well, we did nothing here once again.
No, this was the worst.
Yeah, this was great.
Thanks, Ryan.
Same time next week.
No,
Okay. That's my chair.
that's mine now.
One way to treat people.
I don't know if he really said that was the mum. But yeah, this, like I say, this is crazier than both of the two cases. Like, I got into the Madeleine McCann, and like I say, it was an American matey. I was watching a statement analysis, and it was fascinating. But not just him though, quite a few like this. That's what they kind of say. Like, when they bring up something about this case, they say it's our Madeleine McCann, or Madeleine McCann is the UK's JonBenét Ramsey. But I can see why. Although with the other two, it's more like the people's stories don't add up. But with this one, it's like the story is, like they said, really open ended. And that's a good point. Like, DNA gets passed easy. If you brush past someone, you're gonna have their DNA. Right, you can pass. So yeah, that's actually a fascinating point. But imagine if you worked at that warehouse and your DNA was on record for something, and they said that you were responsible because of, like, how unlucky would that be? And when people say, like, how is your DNA there then? And you're like, I really don't know. But then, yeah. Yeah, this has made me want to even go deeper into this and see if I can find, because the Madeleine McCann one, I watched like 3 documentaries, I think, that were all 4 hours long, where they literally break down everything and show you how everything that was basically said was a lie about what happened with that little girl, and the fact that they should have been done for neglect anyway. That's the other crazy thing with the Madeleine McCann case. is that they should, if it was any other parent, not a high up family like the McCanns, they would have had the other kids taken off of them without a doubt. If that was one of my sisters that did that and one of the kids went missing, they had 100% had the kids. But because they're doctors and high up and connected family, it didn't happen. And I think that's another reason why people in the UK are obsessed with that case. Because even if they weren't involved at all in Madeline's death, you still have broke laws with the story that you gave, and actually sitting there giving a story about how you left your child, and in the same breath talking about your good parents. But yeah, this one was crazy because at first I was like, well, it's 100% the parents. But it does seem like when you basically got 3 grown men that feel like they really have a connection with this child, that's concerning. That's worrying anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely gonna have to look more into this. Now I've kind of got an overall understanding of the case. Because, yeah, this is even crazier than the other two. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy. Crazy. But yeah, that's the reaction. Hopefully I don't have to block this out, but I might. Hopefully I don't. I think they're alright, but anyway, yeah, sweet.